The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day. Welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Daniel Proulx, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 114. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly at contact@z2z.com. That's right, folks. It is another Freem-lish show. Seems to be, you know what's, is there something going on, Randy, between you and Freem? Because you guys,
we really do seem to be on opposite schedules lately, don't we? It's very strange.
Mad at each other? What's going on?
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's some podcast drama going on.
That's the only explanation. You know, behind the scenes, me and Freem, we actually just hate each other a lot.
Right.
And there you have it. Secrets revealed here on Z to Z Podcast.
That's right. The Z to Z soap opera.
Catch us next time for the real people of Z to Z Podcast, only on TLC or whatever that channel is.
The people will finally learn what happens when
the Real Housewives of Z to Z.
Yeah. What is it? Oh, man. How did the real world go? We stop getting something and start getting real.
I don't know. I never watched that.
Darn it. Okay. Anyways, doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. It is weird. You guys seem to be, you've kind of transitioned to the pretty consistent on week, off week. And it just so happens that Freem has had to have a few weeks off in between. And they seem to line up.
Without even any like real planning or anything, that just kind of like, because like mine was intentional, where now I'm kind of doing every other week, where Freem just happens to not be here the weeks that I'm planning to not be here,
quote unquote, just happens.
Right? Yes,
air quotes.
Right.
So we'll see in 2 weeks if you guys aren't on the same show. There's definitely going to be some conspiracy theories.
Drama confirmed.
Yes, exactly.
New podcast, Z Housewives podcast coming.
We do not need that. Hey, we talked a little bit about this earlier today, Randy, and we seem to be having an on-again, off-again relationship with food in the Discord. So I wanted to bring this up on the show just to start, because we've had many conversations.
I know, we haven't had a good food chat in a while. There hasn't really been anything exciting. Yeah. But it does seem like you had something you were excited about that we were talking about this morning.
I did. For Valentine's Day, my girlfriend got me the Frosted Flakes Lucky Charms crossover cereal. Now, I love crossovers of any sort. If you can find any sort of mixing of properties, I'm just on board. Like the whole Lego Dimensions thing was right up my wheelhouse. I love mixing different things together to see what kind of fun you're going to have. And I never thought to do it with cereal. So my mind is swimming with the possibilities of what kind of awesome cereal combinations could we come up with. Anyways, it doesn't matter, because what we have right now are, you take all the bad bits out of Lucky Charms, which is the gross, whatever brown bits they have.
The filler.
Yep. And replace it. So it's basically just Frosted Flakes with
Lucky Charms marshmallows.
With Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Which is amazing that they found a way to make Frosted Flakes less healthy than they are currently.
Yeah. But it's quite good.
Did you know? So I just learned this. Now here we'll have Canada Corner right at the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, I'll call it Canada Corner, but I don't actually know what country it is. Apparently some countries, Frosted Flakes are called Frosties. Same packaging, same Tony the Tiger, same font, but it says Frosties instead of Frosted Flakes.
Well, surely you would know if they were, when you were a kid.
It is not Canada. It's probably Europe is my guess. And so this came up in another Discord server I'm in, and there's also the Smarties. So American Smarties are called rockets in Japan. Same company, same packaging, same candy, same font, everything. Just one says Smarties, one says rockets. And in Canada, Smarties are like they're very popular. They're like M&Ms but better.
What?
The same kind of thing, like chocolate coated candy or like candy coated chocolate, little drops, but with higher quality chocolate in them than M&Ms.
Wait a minute, hang on.
And those are called Smarties. And then what American Smarties are called rockets. So every time I see American Smarties in America, it always throws me off because in my mind, those are rockets. And they will forever be rockets in my mind.
And I don't know how you feel. Here's a hot take. Smarties are basically slightly flavored chalk.
Yes.
I mean,
they're delicious.
They're okay, but they're not like there's nobody's first choices when they're going for candy.
No, I can't remember the last time I had them.
Yeah,
because I would only ever get them at Halloween. That was the time. It's like somebody would get rockets and then you eat like a whole pack at once, like the whole fun size. You just put the whole thing in your mouth and eat them all at once. And you get all the flavors mixing. That was always my favorite way to do it.
Yeah, I can eat like one of those small wrappers of Smarties, and they're okay, I guess. But I never understood the appeal. If it's like the only candy within reach, I guess it's okay. Have you had the Necco wafers? Is this something that you're familiar with or no?
No, I haven't.
So I think maybe that they're similar. I mean, they are definitely similar in a lot of ways. They're packaged similarly
to American Smarties or Canadian
American
Smarties?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, from my understanding, what you just told me, Canadian Smarties are essentially M&Ms.
They're better M&Ms, yes.
So I would compare them to M&Ms, not to Smarties.
Correct.
So
they're completely unrelated to Smarties.
Okay, right.
But Canada does have the same candy that are called Smarties in America.
Called Rockets.
They're called Rockets.
They're
exactly the same, in exactly the same packaging, exactly the same font, exactly the same slightly flavored chalk.
You know, I think this is the biggest problem I have with candy, is it seems that 60 to 75% of American candy is from the 50s, and or that era, or a long time ago, I should say, is old candy, and we are just left with this leftover candy.
No, see, I would bet. I don't know this for sure, but I'm just guessing. A lot of Canada's candy and chocolate influence comes from the UK, which I would assume is much older than American candy and chocolate. The thing is, at least from my understanding, is America's all about more and cheaper, where Canada wants like the good quality, like British chocolate, much better chocolate, where here like Hershey's is like top tier, and that's like garbage tier in Canada. And then if you like go lower than Hershey's, which is like, I don't know, half the stuff here, I don't even know what that is. I mean, Hershey's is fine, but it's like, I mean, you make s'mores with it, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I love s'mores. S'mores are super American, by the way. I love s'mores. I believe that. Like super American.
Although you would think they would be Canadian too. I mean,
no, not really. I love s'mores. I mean, people know what they are, but like no one makes s'mores.
Oh man.
At least never that I knew of, but like I love s'mores.
A well-made s'more,
amazing.
A well-made s'more,
the best. Because like graham crackers,
none of this stick the marshmallow in the fire nonsense.
Sometimes.
No, never.
No,
never,
ever. You stick the marshmallow in the fire, cook it till it's black, peel the black off, and then take the gooey inside.
No, because Randy, you are.
The golden brown is good too, but sometimes
the golden
you
brown
want
is
the
the
gooey.
best. So this is the problem, okay?
The golden brown is too much work. That's the problem.
Yes, it is a lot of work,
but it is, I agree with you. It is the best.
Because here's the thing: if you stick it in the fire, even if you remove the charcoaled black coal of the outside, you're only going to have a very thin layer of gooey marshmallow, and then the inside, the very middle of the marshmallow, will still be solid. This is why the golden brown on the very base of the fire, slowly roasted marshmallow is the best, because it is melty all the way through, and you can eat that.
And you get that golden brown outside.
And you get exactly. Yeah. So
no, it is. It's just a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It literally takes dozens of times longer than just sticking it into the fire, but it is so worth it. So, anyways, which actually is full circle. Bring it back.
And now back. I just got one more.
Yep.
American Kit Kats are terrible. I'm just gonna put that out there. They are terrible.
I have no allegiance to Kit Kat.
You don't like? I mean, most people like Kit Kats.
They're okay. I don't dislike them.
And they've never had a Nestle Kit Kat because, like, I hate Nestle. Terrible company. Terrible company. But man, I'll still buy their Kit Kats.
Interesting. I'd have to.
So
try
good.
it, I guess.
If you could ever find one, the British and Canadian and German, probably most of Europe. If you ever see a Kit Kat with the Nestle logo on it, buy it. Even if it's $3, buy it. It's worth it.
I'll have to go
I mean, it'll also make you not be able to eat American Kit Kats anymore. But
no, I could see that. American Kit Kats are.
It's worth it.
Are
It's just
plain.
it's that low quality chocolate again. It's like, I don't know. It's worth the extra money.
This brings it back though to, and this will be the last food related topic. Well, this is we're circling back to close the conversation on these Frosted Flakes Lucky Charms. By the way, it's really interesting to me. Lucky Charms gets top billing on the box. It says Lucky Charms and then Frosted Flakes,
and it's got the leprechaun.
It has Lucky, but it doesn't have Tony. So I don't know. You would think there'd be some sort of synergy there.
The base is Frosted Flakes. I mean, I would assume the majority of that flavor is Frosted Flakes.
Oh, totally. Although the ratio of marshmallows to cereal is much higher. Like they put more marshmallows in this Frosted Flakes than is in Lucky Charms.
See, that sounds kind of gross.
It's actually not bad.
Because like Lucky Charms has like the perfect marshmallow ratio.
No, I disagree. I think Lucky Charms would benefit from slightly more marshmallows. I think this Frosted Flakes would benefit from slightly less marshmallows. It's very sugary. It's not something you should eat every day. But it is.
Keep in mind, this is using marshmallows very loosely. I mean, I don't know how they call those things marshmallows, but
they
crunch.
Freeze-dried marshmallows.
They crunch.
Yeah.
They're not real marshmallows.
Hey, it's all sugar. It's sugar in a bowl. You're basically eating sugar milk.
There's fluffy sugar. There's sugar coated in sugar, and then
corn sugar. And then
the unprocessed sugar or less processed sugar coated in the more processed sugar with the fluffy sugar in the middle.
Anyways, we're done. Sorry, guys.
As I drink my glass of crystal sugar.
Yeah, crystal Pepsi sugar. But one quick thing that I was thinking about, but didn't come up with anything good, and I know that people in the community will be able to do better than me. I want to hear people's dream cereal crossovers. What combinations would be the best? The thing that popped out to me first would be like peanut butter crunch Oreo O's. Maybe that might be good. I'm not sure.
Reese's Puffs Oreos.
Yeah, Reese's Puffs Oreos. Oreos, that might be good.
See, now here we go. We're gonna get back into Canada corner again. Now that you said that, you set me off. So I've noticed, living on both coasts, that people on the East Coast say Reese's a little bit different than people on the West Coast. Because you just said Reese's.
No, did I? Yeah, that's probably...
Everybody at work calls them Reese's Pieces.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're Reese's Pieces on the West Coast.
Yes, and that's probably correct. And
I don't get it.
It's just a thing. It's just a thing that happens here. It's ingrained into my childhood, into my brain. So I understand that the correct pronunciation is Reese's Pieces. But it's just
on the East Coast. It's just Reese's Pieces. Maybe it's just upstate New York. I don't know.
It is. It's a
like
very
everybody at work called them that. Because in my office, we had for a long time a Reese's Pieces machine. Like you just like put your hand under, and you get some, which was really dangerous. Working like 8 feet from that machine.
Oh yeah.
And it's free. Like it was, you could just eat them whenever. Dangerous. We don't have it anymore. But people would, like other people from around the office would come in and get Reese's Pieces, and we got any Reese's Pieces or Reese's or whatever, like. And I was like, it's so weird to me. Anyway,
yeah. It's not something I do intentionally. It's just one of those things that sticks with you, even though you're
I assume that was the case. I mean, there's lots of little like language differences and stuff in between, even just in between states, even around here.
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely. Okay, guys, we're getting back to achievements. Please send in your fantasy serial crossovers. I do want to hear them. But let's move into it. Randy, did you do anything fun this week? Or did you play anything good? Well, I know you just got a Magic again, and you
I played
Magic.
House, right? No, not tonight. No cleaning house tonight. So most of my gaming this week was in the traditional gaming scene. I played Magic 3 days this week. It's been a pretty crazy Magic week for me. I think I played 3 days this week. I played very little video games. I don't think I've unlocked an achievement in over a week.
What are you doing on the show, Randy? Get off. Get out of here.
I know. I was looking at my achievements the other day. I was like, man, this is brutal. Yeah, let's look. 7th of February. And it's the 17th of February, technically, because we just crossed over midnight. So 10 days is my last achievement.
There are 8
That's okay.
Magic video games that all have achievements in them, Randy. Why are you not playing any of these games? I just searched on TA, by the way.
Because because I like to go play the real card game. I might get to the Magic video games eventually. We'll see. And I play Standard, which those games won't have all the standard cards in them. So look, Standard's the new guys.
I'm just looking on TA for Magic games, and Magic Duels is free. It's an Xbox One game.
Yeah, but that's the one with the 500 days.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, I have a couple of them that were games with gold or something. I mean, I've got games to play. It's just I've got a bunch of other games to play too. So I did play some video games. We'll talk about Magic after. But I did play some video games. I believe all I played this week was, I guess since I wasn't on the show last week, my big win was so a couple weeks ago I was mentioning that the Kingpin achievement in the German version of Saints Row 2 is harder because one of the badges is not in the game. Well, turns out I was looking through the leaderboards and I noticed that all the people on top still weren't the highest rank. I'm thinking, why? Why aren't you the highest rank? What's going on? But they had the game completed. So there's no way that many people just cheated and completed the game. And yeah, it turns out that badge actually is in the game. There's a secondary requirement that wasn't mentioned in the guide. There's a secondary option to unlock it that wasn't mentioned in the guide on TA, but was mentioned over on Xbox Achievements. So I came across this, tested it out. Sure enough, pop Kingpin. So that saved us probably 3 or 4 weeks worth of sessions, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, huge. And I mean, we would have been done 2 weeks ago if we would have known that, probably.
So now you're done with that.
We didn't play last weekend, but the weekend before that, we would have been done. So I'm done with the competitive multiplayer. I've still got a little bit of co-op stuff, but that can be done whenever. That can be done system. Like all of the online required achievements are done. Actually, that's not true. I think I've got one co-op one left that takes 5 minutes or something, but everything time consuming is done, and I'm very excited about that. So that was a big win. And then the only other thing I played was GTA 5, playing the 2-person mastermind run. We finished Act 2, so all of the hardest missions are done now. We actually finished do you remember the mission where we collect the hard drives and drive the truck around? Mm-hmm. We did that on the second try.
That was probably the toughest one.
Yeah, I would say that was, at least when we did it, that was definitely the hardest mission in the whole run. Yeah, second try. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. And we did it within the time limit too. We didn't have to restart.
Because that there's less people, or
no,
we just knew what you were doing.
We knew what we were doing, and we knew how little time we had, so we had to play aggressively. But I also got a lot better at using the truck as cover. That's the key. Mm-hmm. You just use that truck as mobile cover, and then you have to be pretty aggressive at getting the people out in the open. But once you figure out that the drivers, like the truck team, just gets out and kills everybody while the other people grab the hard drives and then get back in. And then once you put the last fire out and you have no timer, you just go real slow. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
really slow.
Yeah.
So it probably took us about 40 minutes in total. But we did do it, and once we finished that, we knew we had it, because there are no other missions that are anywhere near as difficult as that one. So, that going forward, the server room was really hard as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, and I don't think that one's gonna get much easier. It's just
that'll be fun.
Well, the thing with the server room is that we discovered is the AI on those like SWAT team guys is super smart. Like they will flank you strategically. Like they'll work together and come at you from all sides, and then you basically just can't do anything because they do so much damage. They just kill you instantly.
Yeah.
Or they'll they'll sneak up on you, or they'll know you're by yourself, and two of them will come at you. And yeah, it's actually really impressive how good they are at playing strategically. So that's pretty much it for gaming. I think we're going to finish that up this weekend. If you and Fug level up, we can continue.
Hey, I did. Not only did you...
I know. I know. You guys did make some progress, but I mean, you're only at 50, so you got another 50 levels to go, and they don't get faster.
Yeah.
Because you will still die in one shot on hard. They do a lot of damage. But yeah, I'm feeling really good about that achievement. So I'm hoping we can get going on that soon and make some real progress. So Magic this week. Played 3 nights of Magic. I played with my friend for fun on Wednesday. Then I went to a draft on Thursday. And for those of you that don't know what a draft is, how that works is you go in, you pay your entry fee, you get 3 packs. You open up one pack. You look at it, pick a card, and then pass it on to the next person. Then the next person passes one on to you. You go around the table until there's no cards left. Then you open up the second pack, do the same thing. Third pack, do the same thing. And then with those cards you pick, you make a deck and you play. You play a tournament basically with that deck that you just made with those cards you get from the packs. And I'd never done that before, and it was super fun. It was a totally different game. Because you have to, there's strategy in the picking, there's strategy in the deck building, and then, of course, there's strategy in playing the game. So it was a ton of fun. And then tonight, I went to my usual Friday Night Magic. Didn't do as well as last time, but I'm still pretty happy with it. It's still a ton of fun. So
if you had
I'm enjoying Magic.
If you had practiced in the video games, maybe you would have done a little better, Randy.
Probably not. I was drawing some pretty garbage hands. That's what was happening tonight. Really garbage, unbelievably garbage. I don't know what was going on.
So you didn't. What you're saying is you didn't draw the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
That's correct. I did not draw the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
That's too bad.
Didn't believe in the heart of the cards.
That's exactly right. Oh man. All right. Well. I've played, I'll say, a significant chunk more than you, and I don't need to touch on
probably.
Not specifically everything, but I do want to go through the list just because we spent a lot of time talking about chocolate. For Random To-Do List,
we got a short show. We got time.
It's true. We don't have a ton of stuff to cover this week, but so I'll cover it a little bit. Tonight I played some Super Street Fighter. This is all for random. This first list is just for Random To-Do List. So played some Super Street Fighter, and I had to get some, whatever ultimate combo finishes. And DJ Hero 2, I had to. So that was an interesting achievement, right? Because it was actually for 3 points too, which is weird. But it was for playing with 3 people essentially on the same console. So you had to have 2 decks and a microphone. Well, I have a microphone and I have 1 turntable deck. So I had to buy a new one. And man, I talked about this company once before. They have a retail space.
The one I wanted you to take me to.
Yes, yeah. And man, they're amazing because I didn't even have to go there. Even though they live essentially 15 minutes away. They are located 15 minutes away. I ordered it online. And so I bought a second deck for it was $11 or something like that, and the trade-in value.
That's a great price.
Yeah, and it's completely it's in better condition than the one I bought new and have barely used. And like the trade-in value is like $8 or something like that. So I'm only going to be out $3 if I decide to give it back. I'm not sure if there's any other achievements I need it for.
I mean, for $11, I'll buy it off you because I need a new one.
Yeah, it's
so you can be out $0 if you want to come up to New York.
Yeah, it's in really pristine condition. I was amazed when I put mine is missing the battery cover, which is weird because I'm normally pretty good about that sort of stuff, but it's missing the battery cover. This one must be from DJ Hero 2 because it's got stickers on it that mine doesn't have. And anyways, this place is amazing, and I'm definitely going to start taking more advantage of it because, well, why not? It's right there, and it's called Starland, by the way.
It's a local used game store. Don't support GameStop.
It's not. I mean, it's bigger than local. I'm pretty sure they have locations around, but it's not huge like GameStop is. And it's mostly built online. It's just it has this kind of warehouse where it keeps most of its stuff. And,
I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and where you can go, and it's just basically this old empty office building, and they just rented the floor, and you just go there. And there's just rows and rows of all sorts of older games and special editions, and it's really cool. Starland is what it's called. Look it up if you're interested. I'm sure there are some other places, but there's one real close where I am, and it's been fantastic. So did that. I also ordered an extra copy of Star Trek Legacy. You know why? Because I had a random to-do list achievement on that game, and I have put myself on the boost list, request list on that game for probably a year or two now, and nobody's playing that game. Fortunately, you can play all that sort of stuff with a second tag, especially if you have a Proulx and a Proulx 360 handy. So I just bought the extra copy for $4 or whatever it was. And I just did it all at once, got all the online stuff done, except for one achievement, which requires 4 people, which means I'll probably just have to buy 2 more copies at some point. Anyways, that game, nobody's playing that game. So that's all my random.
Well, you can go to your new favorite game store and probably find a couple.
Yeah. So that's all the random to-do list stuff I've been doing. I mentioned last week that I'm kind of now starting to work on all of these old Easy 360 games that I have on the shelf. I want to get them off the shelf. So I finished up. I started Captain America last week, finished it up this week. It was a really solid movie tie-in game. It's actually quite fun. It's basically Batman Arkham Asylum Light. And quite good. It was enjoyable. And then I started Cars because that was next on my list. Captain America, then Cars. I'm not sure what's next, but we'll see. So I started and completed the game Cars, which it's not as good as Captain America, but it was something, and I finished it out. I played some GTA with you, Randy, who was helpful.
Yep,
in getting
shot some women's.
Yep. Boosted some of the online multiplayer levels. I played the game Altered Beast. Man, I'm playing all these old games. This is like one of the first arcade games, I think. Completed that as well. Halo Wars, which me and Fufu Cuddly Poof have been working on for a little while now, and that's it for that. That's pretty much everything I've played except for Teslagrad. And now next week will be the big week that we sit down and examine the game and talk about what we think and all this sort of stuff. I finished the game, and there were 2 points at which I wanted to throw my controller through the screen. There's one collectible where you have to do this platforming part. There's a giant beam in the middle of this tower, and you have to kind of and you float up the beam, and you have to race this thing to the top of the beam, and while you're avoiding obstacles and stuff like that.
Oh, that was the worst.
Oh, did you play the game?
Yeah, I completed it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ages
okay.
ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you know what I'm talking about then?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember that.
yeah. I didn't know you beat. Okay, so this is great, Randy. I was wondering why you hadn't mentioned it, but so you know that part. So you're floating up this beam, and you kind of think of like a game like Mega Man, where you drop down a level, and there's spikes on either side of you, and you have to move to the left a little bit, and then move to the right real quick, and then move back into the middle, and that sort of stuff real quick. Precision platforming kind of stuff. And
But
so-
like precision air platforming.
yeah, exactly. Except you're
Because
floating.
you're in this beam that's like pulling you up.
Yeah, exactly. So you're floating upwards, and you kind of have to avoid these obstacles. Now you have to do this earlier on in the game to get to progress, but you can kind of take that a little bit slower. This part for the collectible, you actually have to hit a certain speed and maintain it in order to beat the collectible up this tube. And it's not impossible. I'd say it probably took me a good hour of practicing to get it done. So it's not unreasonable, but it was frustrating. And so the next day in the chat, we were talking in the the game of the month chat, we were talking about this. I'm going to get this wrong now. I think it was Kingsman. And sorry, Kingsman, if it's not you, and sorry to whoever it was if it was somebody else. But I'm pretty sure it was Kingsman who was showing us a glitch where somebody just jumped in there. So you could just kind of glitch the collectible out of that tube, and you didn't have to do it at all. And
That
this was
sounds fantastic.
Yes, this was the day after I had done it. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? So that was...
I would have happily done that. It did not add anything to the game experience. It just was difficult.
No, yeah. Especially since you've already kind of proven that you could do it. It just requires you to do it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely got a sense of accomplishment out of it. But...
It's not the good kind, though.
Yeah.
It's the it's over kind.
I don't know why I said Kingsman. It was Koosh. Koosh, he's the one that who brought up Tesla Grad in the first place to kind of play this game. I'm pretty sure it's Koosh. I'm going back through the chat now, and there's like a lot going on. So, anyways, if you're interested, check the chat. We talked a lot about it. Yeah, it was Koosh. It looks like. Anyways, and then of course the other frustrating part is beating the final boss, which again isn't the worst challenge in the history of games, but I beat him once, and then if you don't beat him with all the collectibles, you have to go back and beat him again. And man, that's the first time it took me a couple of tries. The second time it seemed harder, and I don't know why, even though I'd already done it. That was frustrating. Anyways, but it's a good game. Completed it, and we'll talk more in depth about that next week. So
yeah, very good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. A lot of fun. So, and a satisfying completion. So, all right, Randy, let's move into news. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but I think what's most on your mind is what's going on with Saints Row.
So, I don't know if any of you saw this week, but Deep Shovelware was acquired by THQ Nordic, which means THQ Nordic is pretty much THQ at this point, because there were really two companies that bought THQ. I mean, not only two companies, but basically the two big companies that bought most of THQ's IP was Deep Silver and Nordic. They later renamed themselves to THQ Nordic, and now acquired Deep Silver. And all of Koch Media, which is pretty much just Deep Silver, I think. So what's interesting is why this is significant, why I'm talking about Saints Row is, I mean, I think the IP is worthless, and now Volition is a subsidiary of THQ Nordic. But THQ Nordic really likes to publish remasters and re-releases. So that gets me thinking, maybe we'll see Saints Row 1 and 2 re-released. We can only hope.
What would you do? What would you prefer? If you could control it, would you want to see a remaster of the whole collection? Let's just say they came out with the Saints Row collection for 3,000 Gamerscore, the first three. Would you?
Yeah, I was going to say they've already done 4. I mean, I would play 3 again. 3 was okay. It wasn't terrible. Still don't think it should have been called Saints Row, but it wasn't terrible. I'd be fine with it. I would prefer just 1 and 2 because those are really the two real games.
And you'd have to play them, right? You need that series completion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whatever. I mean, they could release another Saints Row Fun and I'd play it.
No, don't say that.
Oh, could you imagine?
Ugh, no.
Another re-release of Saints Row Fun. I would be very happy with like 3 more stacks each of Saints Row 1 and 2 that will keep me occupied for the next 6 years. I shouldn't have said that because it's going to happen now.
Well, look at BioShock. If they were re-released 1 and 2, do you think that they would kind of remove the multiplayer components like BioShock did?
I honestly would hope they would keep them. Because especially in Saints Row 1, Saints Row 2, it could do without it. But I mean, if they're doing co-op multiplayer anyway, I don't think it would be that much more difficult to just keep the whole thing intact. Because you're still setting up that, you're moving it to the new network anyway. I don't imagine doing the rest of it would be that difficult. Because, I mean, look at Dead Rising. The Dead Risings did it. I think it was funny, too, because, like, it seemed like when the Assassin's Creed collection came out, which I think was much bigger than the Dead Rising re-releases, it seemed. They're like, oh, no, we can't figure out how to do the multiplayer. And BioShock was like, oh, we can't figure out how to do the multiplayer. And then Dead Rising 2 comes out. Terror's Reality is in it. It's like, nobody in the world played that. But they still put it in the remaster.
I didn't even know that there was multiplayer in Dead Rising.
Exactly.
I had no idea.
Exactly. It was stupid. It's terrible, but it's in there. And they did it. And a $20 game, and then you got the BioShock collection that's like this big fancy thing, and they're like, oh, we gotta figure it out. So,
but I mean, you played the remaster, didn't you, or no?
Of which?
Of BioShock.
I played Infinite. The 1 and 2 are on my backlog of my BioShock series completion list. I've got 4 BioShock 1s and 2 BioShock 2s left. I mean, I've done all the BioShock 2 multiplayers. I still have to do the single player and then the remaster.
Yeah, I don't.
But I am done, 100% done the 2 BioShock Infinites.
Which doesn't have multiplayer.
No, it just has super hard DLC. But yeah, no multiplayer.
For BioShock, it made a lot of sense. I would bet money.
I was actually hoping that BioShock 2 did have multiplayer.
Yeah, because you're one of those people you're trying to go for that crazy completion. But
no, not even for the completion. I actually wanted to play it because a lot of people played BioShock 2's multiplayer when it came out, and people still play it.
Do they?
Yeah, usually on weekends. But like, there's a group of people that does actually still play the multiplayer. And I don't know, BioShock seems like the way they had it set up, it seemed like it worked. And I know a lot of people played it and enjoyed it. So I think it's.
Do you think people still? Do people? I don't. Do you think? Because I'm sure you'd know. Do people still play Saints Row 1? I mean, when we were playing Saints Row 1,
yes, people still play Saints Row 1.
1 or 2 people, but what about Saints Row 2? Like, is it?
No,
are there
no people? I don't think so. Saints Row. So what happened was Saints Row 1 had quite an extensive multiplayer with a lot of different game modes. The most popular one being Protect the Pimp, which was kind of like what's that game, like Protect the Leader kind of game mode.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
So you had the guy who was the pimp, and if he died, you lose, and if he escaped, you won. He had no guns, but he could slap people and instantly kill them. But obviously,
that's right.
Obviously, everybody else has guns, so you kind of hide. You don't usually run up, but if someone gets in your face, you kill them. And that was the mode everybody played. Everybody who played Saints Row multiplayer seriously, that was the mode you played. So what did they do in Saints Row 2? They make a new mode and don't include that one, which was stupid. I don't know what they were thinking. So people pretty much didn't play Saints Row 2's multiplayer. It was fun, but it wasn't as good and it wasn't as fleshed out as Saints Row 1's multiplayer was. And people play, like, I think it says something when people are still playing multiplayer in a game that came out in 2006. that there's something there. The other thing with Saints Row 1's multiplayer is, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is everybody cheated. And it was an expectation of how you played the game. But that being said, if you fixed all those problems, it would still hold up as a solid multiplayer experience without all the glitches and cheating. And I mean, it wouldn't be quite as fun, but it would be worth having.
I would say I wouldn't even call myself a casual fan. I would say as a person who's played those games, I would be, and this is achievement based, of course, but I would be more interested in playing those games without the multiplayer. If I could get the completions done without the multiplayer.
Now, the only thing is, though, is True Skill is not a thing anymore, and they use True Skill for some of the achievements. So they would have to redo the ranking system or cut those achievements. I don't know what they would do.
Like BioShock did. Like they just removed all those stuff. Like they could.
But yeah, I mean they could do it. It just, I don't know. I don't know if you could even port that multiplayer at that point. Like if that is a core of your system. If the matchmaking relies on it, I don't think it does. It doesn't seem like it checks at all, but it might. Then I don't know. Maybe it's more complicated to get going, but it would be very disappointing to have a Saints Row 1 re-release without the multiplayer component. For a lot of people that played the original, it would be extremely disappointing.
How much does that multiplayer mean to you? Like if say 100% is how much you love Saints Row 1. How much of that is multiplayer?
Like 75%.
Oh wow! So it's more significant.
I played way more multiplayer than I did single player.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, the single player was good. It was a good experience, especially at the time because there wasn't a lot on the 360 that took advantage of what it could do. But the big part of that game that made it so great was the multiplayer for me. I mean, part of that was the unique experience that came with it being who could cheat better. Which, I mean, that's just there's never going to be another game like that. I was actually thinking at work the other day, it would be really cool if somebody made like a spiritual successor to Saints Row's multiplayer, but built what happened when you cheated in as actual mechanics of the game. So what you would do, like you would have like a button on your controller that was your standby button, and then you would like the game would just like turn you into a ghost or something, and then you would go around and do your thing, but you wouldn't have to have cheater hardware to do it. It would just be part of the game.
It brings to mind that game that came out a few years ago, that screen cheat, yeah, game.
Yeah, but that same kind of idea, like there would be no other game like it. But it would, I mean, obviously it would kind of appeal to a niche audience just because it's so weird, and it's a spiritual successor to the unintentional cheating mechanics of Saints Row 1's multiplayer. But I do still think it would be, I would play that game like crazy if that ever came out.
Well, you know, Randy, Saints Row is not the only thing they purchased for $125 million. So this was definitely this purchase.
That price seems outrageous. What else did they buy? Dead Island.
Dead Island, yeah. And apparently the Metro series, which is interesting.
Okay, that I could see.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Metro series is certainly the most well regarded of those three. But
there's that new Metro coming out that kind of looks like a big deal, and it's going to be Xbox exclusive.
Is it?
I think so. Not. I'm pretty sure, or timed exclusive maybe, but I mean that seems to kind of be as good as exclusive these days.
Dead Island, Saints Row, and Metro publisher Deep Silver. So yeah.
But I mean, even so, like Saints Row before it was run into the ground only cost Deep Silver $13 million. Only $13 million. But that's what I remember reading that somewhere that is what Deep Silver paid to acquire Volition and the Saints Row IP when THQ went bankrupt. It was $13 million. Which, I mean, when you're talking, what was that, 160 something million for this acquisition?
Yeah, I think it was 150.
I mean,
close to 150 or something like that. Yeah.
Do you think Dead Island is worth more than Saints Row?
No, I mean, I don't think either are worth much, but I wouldn't combine them to 150 million.
Well, with Metro, but I mean, even if you value Metro at 100 million,
that seems real.
And that's really generous.
Yeah, I think you're really pushing it at that point. But
yeah,
I don't have like any hard numbers in front of me about how well these games have sold. But I mean, I guess if we count Agents of Mayhem as the most recent Saints game, and we count the Metro re-release on Xbox One as the most recent Metro game, and then we count for what was the third series again?
Dead Island.
Dead Island. I don't even know because I don't remember.
Yeah, there's like a million of them, but they're all insignificant.
Yeah, so like I don't think any of them have sold tremendously well or
well, so I guess the other thing that I was just thinking of, I bet that new Metro is pretty well underway in terms of development. So probably a big chunk of that money is just the development cost of the game that is already being developed in the Metro series. So like if you're, I mean, probably lowballing it, $50 million worth of development work has probably gone into that.
Yeah, okay.
Which
I can see
you're getting that in the acquisition. You get to release this game. So now the only thing with this though, so I mean, the fact that now we might, maybe get off our lawn, Gramps, person at Volition, is going to have somebody at THQ Nordic saying, no, we're re-releasing Saints Row 1 and 2. It's money. Too bad. Get back on my lawn. Come on. Get on the lawn. It's cool here. And the only thing, though, that makes me think that probably won't happen is they said basically they just acquired Deep Silver and they're just going to continue to run as normal. So, shovelware.
Yeah, even if there is...
what else, though, is I suspect they probably also acquired, along with Deep Silver, the rights to the Ride to Hell series. The bestseller top hit Ride to Hell Retribution. Yeah. That game was going to be a trilogy, that series.
It's a game I've always meant to play. I've never.
I know I haven't yet either.
I'm surprised you haven't, because it seems right.
I haven't. I've had it for ages, and I have all these bad games. I just really want to do something with them, but I just don't have the time. Like I would love to just sit down and stream a bad game like once a week, but it's like I don't ever have like regular times where I can do that. Like doing the podcast and all the other stuff I do. It's kind of like my dream to like one day be able to do that, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. So the bad games sit on my shelf, but I do love them very much.
So that's the dark horse in this transaction here.
I mean, clearly they're gonna unmaster Ride to Hell. They're gonna make it even buggier this time. And I think my understanding with that game was it was developed for PS2. And then they must have just been like, this game's like 80% done. Why don't we just publish it for Xbox 360? And they're like, okay.
So, Ride to Hell.
Are we gonna fix it or test it? No.
Ride to Hell Revengeances will come out, in 6 months from now. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Of course, it's tough to know. This is early on in the talks and stuff like that. Obviously, Randy's and a lot of people's thoughts immediately go to, okay, maybe we'll see some Saints Row stuff. Not sure.
I hope there's no... Well, I don't know. Agents of Mayhem 2 would be fine. I'd play it.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming it doesn't look worse than the first one, but...
Yeah, I don't have much to say.
It's a good foundation. Like, I think they've got something there. It just needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I haven't played that game specifically. Obviously, the Saints Row stuff I've enjoyed for the most part until the most recent stuff. And I've only played the first Dead Island, which I did not care for. And I've played both Metros. I don't know. I don't have a burning desire to play any of these games. So it's obviously that's just me. But
see, I think if they reposition themselves as more AA, they could have a place.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like a $40 title company with established IPs that aren't humongous but are a good foundation for something. and maybe bring back the AA game.
Yeah. Does the AA game even have a place in this market? It's tough to say. It's tough to say because
I would say so, because if you're not paying $60, you're not getting microtransaction to death. You can spend $40 on a game that maybe isn't quite as amazing as Ubisoft's new open world, mostly empty game with 1 million side missions, but it also didn't cost you $120 when you bought that season pass. It's a $40 game that has like an Agents of Mayhem. If Agents of Mayhem was a $40 game, I mean, it probably would have done better because it gets you that lower entry point.
How much did you pay for it?
$5.
Yep.
I mean,
worth it for $5.
And it was untouched. That was the thing. Is like, this was a game in Redbox that probably hadn't been, maybe was rented once, maybe, and it's a $60 game. I don't know. I mean, I wish there was more ground between indies and AAAs like there used to be, just because like there are good indie games, but so many of them are terrible or totally mediocre. And then there's the AAA games that are like getting more and more and more expensive, or have less and less and less content, or are just bad, like a Dead Rising 4 that's just not even like.
Yeah, the problem is like I'm just
there's no heart in AAA games, and then like indie games, have the problems of indie studios. Either they're not experienced enough, they don't have the money, they're small teams, they gotta cut corners because there's only 2 people or whatever. And, once in a while you get that real good gem that comes out of there, but there's problems too. And then you've got the too much money on the other end. There's nothing in the middle. Needs to come back.
It's tough. It's hard when like I know I'm not alone in feeling this way. I won't pay more than $20 on a very, very generous day for a game, even a AAA game. So it's the market is so. We've talked about this a lot, so we're not going to get into it. But
I would be more willing to pay full price for more games if I wasn't disappointed so frequently when I did. I think that, I know the market has changed. I know, we're trained to be on sales. We know these games go on sale in 3 weeks for half off. We know if we wait another month, they'll be $20 or less.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem is like, stop punishing your people that buy the games early, for one, because that's what they're doing.
It's tough. It's tough to say that though, just as a consumer, because yes, on the one side, if they discount their game in the first month or two, 50%, it does feel like you're getting punished if you buy it on day one. But on the other hand, it encourages a lot of people who weren't going to buy that game to purchase it. So it's
I understand why they do it, and I think it makes sense in the short term. But it's gonna the same thing is gonna happen as what happened to computers. Is like you start having these price cutting wars instead of real sales, or everything's always on sale and you sell things at a loss. You keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and you do it for so long that people get accustomed to paying that price, and you're still selling at a loss or almost no profit. And then you have to close all your Best Buy stores because you don't make any money anymore, because in the process of driving everyone else out of business, you drove yourself out of business too. It's kind of that same thing where, yeah, it would work if they did it sparingly, but it happens with every single game all the time. Like, it's like a predictable pattern of when this happens. And if you're not going to play it immediately, why would you buy it on release? And especially when you're talking about copies of this thing that cost very little to produce. You're just cutting your profit in half.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have numbers. I'm not in that business, but it seems like it's going to do more harm than good in the long run.
Yeah, we've talked about this extensively in the past, and who knows? We'll see. I do agree. I think that there is room in the industry for slightly higher priced, higher quality than indie titles, and then between the $60 AAA titles. But we'll see if the market settles that way.
Yeah, and it just seems like AAA and indie are getting so much further apart. I mean, there are definitely some AAA, like, triple indie kind of games, like, but they're very few and far between, and they take a long time. And indie studios will, they'll move up, but it's going to take some time. And until then, it'd be nice if bigger but not gigantic companies could kind of fill that AA gap. But
yeah, I agree. I agree. I definitely think that the more spectrum we have, the better. So, and kind of related to this, well, not really, but I tried to transition a little bit, but it didn't seem to work. It seems, I guess, I was going to say we could probably call this a disco, but not really. But Games Pass seems to be indicating that 12 of their games will be removed in March. Now, it was, I think it was a kind of a rumor, a picture from a Leaving Soon page, but it's not been officially confirmed. But it seems to be that a bunch of games will be, not a bunch, a dozen games will be leaving Games Pass. And the games are, I'll just list them off here real quick. Capcom Arcade Cabinet, D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, which was a Games with Gold in the past. Dark Void, I think, was also Games with Gold. Flock, Iron Brigade, Joe Danger 2, the movie, Monday Night Combat, N+, tier, Sega Vintage Collection, Streets of Rage, Sega Vintage Collection, Monster World, Strider, and Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, which I think this would signify the first, or the biggest, I should say, removal from Games Pass. So it's happened that it's been one or two games, but this is a pretty big chunk here.
I was really surprised that they were doing this many all at once. I mean, it makes sense to maybe cycle 2 in, 2 out, or 3 in, 2 out, 3 out, 2 in. But 12 all at once seems like a lot. I mean, maybe 12 new games are coming in. If that's the case, great. But I don't know if they kind of make that a regular thing and don't replenish. Might not be so great for Games Pass. Yeah. But even so, even if it's 80 games for $10 a month, whatever, it's still good.
Plus all the first party stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that being the case. I feel like they're not going to like let their numbers dwindle or anything like that. That certainly wouldn't be good for it.
I mean, I would hope not, especially with how successful it seems to be.
Yeah. And it's not like anything here is moving units or really pushing the Games Pass sales and stuff like that. But, it's good supplementary stuff. I imagine a bunch of this stuff just lost maybe licensing rights. I'm not sure. Like this.
Yeah, they probably did like a 6-month contract or something. Yeah. And then it's coming up, or 3 months or something.
Yeah. And
especially with all the kind of Sega vintage stuff and the Virtua Fighter Sega also. Yep.
I think Dark Void was Sega, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, why did I think that was Sega? Anyways, yeah, it's interesting. Well, I'm not really sure why. But it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it seems to be pretty sure bets. We'll see what happens, and hopefully, like you say, Microsoft will kind of fill in these gaps with some other games coming up in the future that we just are not aware of so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see here, Randy. Some other news. What do we need to talk about? I think you want to talk about some Kingdom Hearts stuff.
I do. Well, there's 2 Kingdom Hearts things, so I'll start with this one that was interesting and kind of fun. So somebody posted in chat this week in the deals section that it's the Square Enix store, which I didn't know existed, is having a sale where they had 80% off almost all of their games, but you had to pay to ship them. So they had like collector's editions, and the shipping went up based on the size of the package. Unfortunately, I was going to buy a couple more games that I didn't because they doubled the price of shipping. But I discovered, because our next topic, we'll kind of get into this, but I've been wanting for a long time to get a hold of the kind of like main, at least Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and play through them, and I ended up getting Kingdom Hearts 1, 1.5, and 2. Brand new on the Square Enix store for PS2. They still sell new PS2 games in Square Enix store. I think there are about 10 of them. And they must still be in print. That's what's interesting, is like these games are probably still in print, which is awesome. I think it's cool that Sony will do that and continue to print these games despite PS2 being long discontinued. So I'm kind of excited to get those in the mail. I mean, maybe it's old inventory, maybe it's not. I don't know. So I'm excited to see that. I also picked up a whole bunch of games for shipping considered under $5 each. I probably won't play any of them, but just to fill some holes in my 360 collection, for very cheap, I picked up a bunch of those, so that's cool. I got the Deus Ex Human Revolution Collector's Edition for $4, I think.
It's a good game too.
Yeah, I already have the game and the DLC. I got the Collector's Edition, and then I got the Director's Cut also, just because it has like a million editions, and I kind of like those weird, like alternate ones that come out way later, and it has DLC on disc. But I'll probably just keep it sealed.
So are you going to be getting Kingdom Hearts 3 or what?
Well, that depends on whether or not it's vaporware. Before we get into that, so I was looking at Kingdom Hearts and deciding, which ones do I want to play. And that got me looking into the timeline of Kingdom Hearts, which got me into some of the naming of the Kingdom Hearts games. So, of course, there's Kingdom Hearts, the first one. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. And then there was one in between that was called Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories. It's kind of like Kingdom Hearts 1.5. Which is, it's kind of getting a little weird. I think Re-Chain of Memories was a PS2 version of the one that came out on Game Boy Advance. And then... we've got ones in here, a Kingdom Hearts .2, Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. Okay, we're getting a little long. We've got Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8, Final Chapter Prologue.
2.8.
2.8, Final Chapter Prologue. And keep in mind, these are across like 6 different consoles.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Some are handheld, some are not. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5, 2.5 HD Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 remix. We've got Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days.
I think that's my favorite.
No, this one's my favorite. This one's my absolute favorite. So this has got to be the worst name for a game I've ever seen in my life. Is absolutely ridiculous. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days HD 1.5 remix. That is the real title of a game.
So you actually have to write this out and in order to break it down to understand what it means, because I have no idea what these numbers
I have no idea what it
mean.
I have no idea. I mean, I assume so. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days was a DS game, and then this is a PS3 game. So I'm assuming that it was a PS3 port of the DS game that was then up to HD and then had some content added, which gave it the 1.5 remix. I have no idea.
It feels like, which is
surprising. But there's also Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 remix for PS3. So is it both of those? Is it a different one? I don't know. Very, very confusing. I just stuck with the three, the Kingdom Hearts, whatever 1.5 kind of one, and then Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'll just stick with that.
It feels like Square. It's Square, right? Pretty sure it's Square.
Yeah. Square and Disney.
Yeah.
But I think mostly Square.
I know Disney wouldn't be a part of this, at least of my theory. Square seems to have no marketing people at all. No PR people. at all.
But they still produce marketing content.
Yeah, I mean, Disney would not do this nonsense. They wouldn't release this word salad as titles. They would differentiate between their products in significant and important ways. It's like, of course,
and why do we have 2.8?
Again,
we have 2.5 and 2.8. Why?
Yeah. Without
and point two. There's point two. And then there's these other ones that don't even fit in the numbers. 358 over 2 days. What is that?
Yeah, I think if you're putting decimal places in your title, unless it's for a very specific reason, I think you've probably failed at trying to reach the public. Whatever. I don't know. I can't actually give an informed opinion about this, except as a layperson, and to say, wow, I would not want to jump into the series because it seems daunting. I know people love the series, and
and by all accounts, even people that are familiar with and enjoy the series, the timeline is a disaster. Like, because of all these little fragments, there's like prequels and sequels and in-betweens and like all this stuff, and none of them came out in order. Like 2 came out second, then the one that went in between 1 and 2 came out. Then there was a prequel to 1, and then there was 2.8, and who knows?
I don't.
It's a mess.
It is a mess, but apparently.
But anyway,
Kingdom Hearts 3.
So in my vaporware jokes, turns out Kingdom Hearts 3 is not vaporware. They released a new trailer with like gameplay and stuff. So this got me wondering, where is the timeline on this? Because I know they were quiet for a long time. So I decided to do some looking. And so Kingdom Hearts 3 was revealed in 2013. There was a 1 minute and 27 second reveal trailer at E3 that said it was on Xbox One and PS4. I think it was on the Xbox stage, if I remember correctly. Which was, I mean, there's some like very bad looking footage of like one place, and that's it. And then 24, and at the end it said now in development, so no promises. And then E3 2014, basically the same thing, except it was a 39-second trailer. Said now in development, so now in development in 2014, still now in development. 2015, we've got a cinematic trailer with a little bit of gameplay. Or 2015 now is the next thing I could find. 2 minutes, 40-second trailer, now in development. So, I don't know. We'll see. It could be like another 6 years. I don't know. It does look interesting, though. The Disney crossover is kind of cool. They got Monsters, Inc. in there, which is kind of cool because that hasn't been around for a long time. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Oh, and they've confirmed that Kingdom Hearts 3 will begin immediately after the ending of Dream Drop Distance. Acting as the... I don't know which one that was. Was that even in the list? Let's see.
It sounds like...
it was. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 3D, Dream Drop Distance. Okay, it was there. Yeah, so...
Good luck. Good luck to anybody who is a fan of the series. Maybe you can write in and let us know. Give us some... maybe there's a Kingdom Hearts for Dummies that we can follow.
Can you explain this 358 over 2 days HD 1.5 remake? Because this is getting... I couldn't believe when I read this. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, there are plenty of series that have jumped all around that don't seem to have these issues. Anyways, it's neither here nor there for me. I've never played it, so I don't have an informed opinion.
I've never played it either, but I am looking forward to playing it. It's one I've been wanting to play for a long time, and I never found a copy of it anywhere when I was shopping around for games. And this came up. It was cheaper, even to pay the shipping to just get the 2 Kingdom Hearts games was cheaper than buying one of them on Amazon. So, I was like, okay, I'll buy all 3 of them, $3 each, pay the shipping, get a bunch of 360 games too. It seemed like the good time to do it. So I don't know if that sale is still running, but they got some good stuff on there. I mean, there's not a ton, but most of it is like $3 or $4. So if you get 5 or 6 or 7 games, it covers the shipping and ends up being $4 or $5 a game for new games. So it's pretty good.
That seems pretty reasonable. Hey,
Pretty good sale.
Randy, speaking of vaporware, do you want to talk about the System Shock remake?
Oh, about Crackdown? It's never coming out?
Nope. We're not talking about Crackdown.
Yeah, the System Shock remake. So I just saw this today. So I'm in a Discord server of the development studio of the new System Shock remake that I'm looking forward to. So originally what happened was it was pitched as a remake, not a reboot. So then they started making the remake in one engine with one art style, and they're like, this is not going to happen. Like, this is way too labor intensive. It's going to take forever. We're going to run out of money. So then they scrapped it because they're like, hey, we got this basically like one room. This took us forever. It's not going to work. Scrapped it. Good. Because it's better to scrap it now than go on down the line. Then, so they redid it and then did it more of as reimagining. I think it was pitched as System Shock as you remember it, not how it was. Which I would say is probably a good...
That's a bold direction to take.
But it's a good point of view for a reboot. Like a Doom.
Sure.
Like Doom. Mm-hmm. Doom 2016 is Doom how you remember it, not how it was. And I think that was a good approach. So people were not happy about that. They're not happy about that because they've been very transparent with what they're doing and the progress they're making, which is good and bad because it is good for the people that understand how this, like, or have some understanding of how this kind of timeline works, how at first things don't look pretty. And then at the very end, you put all the polish on. They didn't like that. They're like, it's another generic Call of Duty shooter in space. It's called System Shock. So now, today, there was an announcement saying that it has been put on hiatus to reevaluate the direction of the game, probably back to the remake, not the reimagining direction.
Hiatus, generally not a great direction.
Not a great direction, but games. I do think, given the studio doing it has actually been around for a while, has other cash flows than just System Shock. Like, System Shock is just one of their projects. I think this is a real hiatus, not a we're actually just canceling the project and we're going to no longer exist in a month. But man, that server today, when that went out, I couldn't believe, like, people, like, the entitlement of people. They're like, I want a refund for my Kickstarter. It's like, it's Kickstarter. What do you think happens in Kickstarter? You don't get a refund. And there was this guy on the server today saying, I'm going to charge back my credit card for non-delivery of goods. It's like, you backed the thing. Like, the Kickstarter was like 2 years ago. Was your credit card company going to, like, refund you on a purchase from 2 years ago? Hope not. So, I don't know. I just, it blew me away, though. Like this mentality with Kickstarter is like, what do you're not guaranteed anything when you back something on Kickstarter. I mean, that's why if you're not willing to lose the money, don't back it on Kickstarter. I don't know. What do you think about this? I mean, you didn't see I mean, there was some activity in that server today. Let me tell you, the mess.
Yeah, but, no, I believe you. I don't know. I will say,
I don't know. I was just really blown away by. I mean, I know people on the internet have a fit about everything, but I was amazed.
Yeah, I will say that I think that it's interesting hearing your differences of opinion between something like this and which you obviously
I mean,
like and enjoy.
I guess I'm a little.
I think you're a little softer.
Closer to it. Well, not just softer, but I guess I'm closer to it because I've been in that server for months and see where it's going. But
yeah, but like,
I mean,
imagine
I
if
guess.
Crackdown 3 went on hiatus tomorrow. You would not give it the benefit of the doubt like you're giving this game.
Yeah, but Crackdown 3 has had like 3 release dates.
No. It's
I mean, Crackdown 3 is a whole
differences.
different.
I understand, but all I'm saying is that it does seem that your usual cynicism seems to be put aside for and this is fine. It's fine, dude. Like,
yeah, I guess the other thing too is like, because there has been so with Crackdown 3 goes silent for 8 months at a time.
Right.
When you go silent for 8 months and then say you're on hiatus, that means your studio's closing.
That's fair.
Because what, you haven't communicated for 8 months and now you're saying on hiatus? Like, this is a thing that has been very transparent all throughout, and then they say, okay, we're going on hiatus. Like, I mean, that makes sense. I guess it's the transparency of one versus the other.
It's just surprising to hear you say that the hiatus is like, that's red flag to me, right? Even with all the context, that's still red flag. 100%. Like, okay, you're putting something on hiatus, which means we're not going to see it, if at all, for another 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, they didn't say a timeline, so I mean, it could be we're canning it for now, and we'll pick it up again when we got more money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but didn't it raise? Didn't it raise a good chunk of money? I mean,
yeah, it was like, I think the Kickstarter was like 1.3 million.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, again, it's just the person that like, I think they're probably going about it the wrong way, but they're saying like, I'm going to request a refund from my credit card company from something I backed 2 years ago. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it, but I can understand that their frustration at this point, that sort of thing would make sense to me. So
I don't know. I think it's, I mean, that's why I don't back things on Kickstarter, because they're not there.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
And that's that's a risk you take. You spend that money's gone. If you get your goods, great. But I mean, to request a refund for something in a project you back, and then people come in like, oh, well, this is a contract between this and it's a non-delivery of goods and all this. Like, no, it's not. You don't think Kickstarter has that covered?
Yeah,
you're not getting your money back. Like,
look at the whole Mighty Number 9 stuff. Like, it's the same sort of stuff.
Or it's like, oh, I backed a project for a remake, not a reboot. It's like,
yeah, that sort of stuff is fine.
I mean, it's whatever. They can do whatever they want.
I don't know. To me, who's someone who's not familiar, so it's an ignorant opinion, really. But someone who's not familiar with the situation, to me, when they say they're putting it on hiatus, this game that hasn't been in my radar for the past 6 months, that just means.
Yeah, I could definitely see that if you haven't been following it. And because like they did like a monthly update with like some pretty good depth. And yeah.
Yeah, it's just my impression is...
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I think if I wasn't following it as closely as I was and seeing the transparency, I would probably also think it was dead.
Yeah. And I'm totally... It's fine
maybe
if it's
it will
not.
be. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope it's not.
Yeah.
Because I think it had some good potential, but we'll see.
We shall see. You know what? That actually brings something else up, too. Something else that may be dead or dying, Randy. This is not good for achievement hunters. What's going on with Games for Windows Live?
Games for Windows Live. So I actually had plans to do some Games for Windows Live boosting. Potentially this weekend. But it turns out the marketplace isn't working again. And I guess accounts are not downloading either. I didn't test that one myself. But when you launch the marketplace client, it just doesn't connect. It just comes up with an error saying it can't connect. Even if you reinstall it, because that was an error that would come up frequently. That would just be kind of a little bug, and then you reinstall it and it works again. Yeah, it's gone again. So hopefully, it comes back like it has. But I don't know. Maybe it's the end. I mean, there's been some Windows phones been shaky. These kind of legacy 360 era, not the 360 itself, but like the other 360 era infrastructure seems to be kind of on its way out.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about Windows Phone. I think that they'll keep up with that at least for a little while, just because there are people who will have it for.
And Windows Phone 10 is still newish. It hasn't been. I mean, it was kind of discontinued or something, but not totally. I mean, I think we definitely have probably, if you're playing on a Windows Phone 10, I mean, you probably got a couple more years left. We'll see, I guess.
So you're telling me though, Randy, the two games for Windows Live games that really concern me are Fallout, which I still haven't done, just because you can get those games by typing in achievements, and Halo.
I mean, Halo's already half dead.
It's been half dead for a long time. That's fine.
Yeah, Halo, you have to be connected to the internet to get achievements in. So
if I want those achievements, I should go for it now, is what you're telling me? If I can even connect.
If you even can. If you haven't downloaded your profile yet, you probably can't. I haven't tested this on another version of Windows. So this is on Windows 10. It might work on Windows 7. It might have been a Windows update thing that broke something. I don't know. So if somebody has Windows 7 and wants to check Games Windows Live, let me know. But as of right now, it's shaky. You can still get achievements and still sign in if your profile was downloaded, but you can't re-download any DLC or purchases from the marketplace, which is all the DLC. So there's no outside DLC as far as I know. Maybe Batman Arkham City, maybe. I don't know. So hopefully it comes back or still works on older systems, but we will see.
We will see. And that's the thing with the aging infrastructure here, where it's only going to become more common. So get what you can
get it while you can.
Yeah.
Get the games you want to do done, because we don't know how much time is left.
Yep. Man, if only we can go back in time and tell our younger selves, this game is going to be delisted, or this platform won't work anymore.
Or arcades don't really exist anymore, except at the Barcade in Philadelphia.
There you go.
There's a good transition. There's actually a few barcades, but I went to the one in Philadelphia last weekend, and that is a pretty cool place. So I tried to go at like 6 or 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, and that was a mistake. So we got there, looked in the window, and left. We didn't even go inside because it was just like packed full of people. I wanted nothing to do with that. So instead we went at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, where we were the first people there. So that was much more enjoyable. So the Barcade's a pretty cool place. It is a bar and an arcade. Don't really care so much about the bar part. They had some pretty good food. Got some good fajitas. Not fajitas. Quesadillas. And they have a lot of arcade games there, and some that aren't so common, like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Did not even know that was an arcade game. Turns out it's quite a good arcade game. That was probably my favorite game I played. Really interesting, because now it got me thinking about can you be good at beat 'em ups that I pondered a while ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it is a really interesting cross. At least I've never really played a game quite like it. It is a beat 'em up style game, so like it's got that same kind of, maybe a little more isometric than a Simpsons arcade or a TMNT arcade. So maybe a little like kind of closer to top down, but not quite. Plays like a beat 'em up, but you also have a ranged attack and a bomb. So it incorporated those kind of shoot 'em up elements of a bomb where, I mean, it's not a bomb. You dance, and then all of the enemies dance, and they can't keep up with you, so they die. which is
Makes
hilarious.
sense.
So the premise of this game is you were Michael Jackson. There was also a Michael Jackson movie called Moonwalker. I was not aware of this until I started looking up this game, and it's a very weird game. So you play as Michael Jackson with your dance bombs, fighting like gangsters and robots that are like commanded by an evil guy called Mr. Big, trying to give drugs to children to control them. That is based on, and this character Mr. Big is based on Michael Jackson's manager. So like, was Michael Jackson's manager like giving drugs to children?
I don't know.
I mean, it's weirdly specific.
I'm not aware.
So then you play as Michael Jackson, saving the children from Mr. Big. So you go around and save the children and dance and blow up the robots with your sweet dance moves and shoot laser beams out of your hands. And
isn't it the case that Michael Jackson, and maybe this is an urban myth I've never actually looked up into, but wasn't it the case that he worked on the music for, I think it was Sonic 2 or Sonic 3? Have you heard this?
Possibly. He actually, so because of this game, there's a kind of an interesting chain of events as a result of this game. So I guess Michael Jackson really liked to work on all of the stuff that he like I don't know if it's like all of his merchandise, but just a number of his products he liked to be really involved in. So he was involved in making this game, which is kind of cool, I would say. Like, if you're busy and big and popular, and that was probably the best game I played at the arcade that day. Really interesting. I wish I had actually played it to completion. I do plan on emulating it and playing the whole thing, because it's about an hour long, and it's not super hard, but it's just a cool game, and it's got like a bunch of Michael Jackson songs in it too, like not obviously the recordings, but like MIDI versions, the 32-bit era arcade, kind of 90s arcade era sounding, but it had a very good soundtrack for an arcade game. It was a fun game, and you can play it with 3 people, and the dance bomb is hilarious. Because it doesn't even explain what it is on the cabinet. You just have 2 buttons. There's attack and then there's dance. That's all. They just label it as attack and dance, which I guess is correct. So then that was a Sega game. It wasn't developed by Sega, but it was a Sega arcade game on Sega hardware. I assume Sega owns the rights to it, because later, Michael Jackson. So then the next game that I know of was Space Channel 5, the first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Space Channel 5 was in development and almost completed, and then so it was being, I guess, mostly done by Sega of Japan. And then so the Sega of America calls up Sega of Japan. They're like, Michael really wants to be in this game. And Sega Japan is like, who's Michael? And they're like, oh, Michael Jackson. So they're like, well, the game's done, the story's written. They're like, well, can you just kind of like stick him in? They're like, I guess so. So he plays and voices Space Michael, which just looks like a Dreamcast era Michael Jackson in a spacesuit, and it's voiced by Michael Jackson. And I think he's got some music in that game, maybe. So then Space Channel 5 Part 2, he was like a real character, because I guess he wanted to be in that game too, and did some music, and voiced his character and everything. So that might be what you're thinking, and I don't know if he had that kind of relationship with Sega, he may have done some music for the Sonic games as well. But definitely Space Channel 5. He was a character, like Michael Jackson was. I mean, Space Michael was a character in that game.
Yeah, I actually looked it up, and apparently he did have a close relationship with Sega from that Moonwalker game, and did contribute to had been confirmed to have contributed to the Sonic 3 soundtrack, although he wasn't credited for it because he wasn't happy with, well, the sound capabilities of the Genesis at the time.
Obviously.
So, interesting.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was part of Sonic 3.
Which also would make sense with the whole Space Channel stuff as well. If he had a relationship with all these people, it makes sense that he would have wanted to.
Yeah, and it seemed like, I guess my understanding from reading all the history of this, because it was interesting, I just kind of went down a wormhole, a rabbit hole, whatever. Went down a rabbit hole of just reading about like the history of this with Sega. That like I was pretty impressed with how involved he actually was in the making of the games, which is kind of cool because usually those kind of tie-in, because I knew the Moonwalker games existed and they were different. So there was a PC version that was like, it's like a maze game or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was older. And then there was the Genesis and Super Nintendo version. And then there was the arcade version. And all three were totally different games. But they were all based on the Moonwalker movie. But they were, at least the Genesis and the arcade versions were all pretty well regarded. Like they were considered pretty good games despite being obviously movie tie-in and, trying to make a buck on the name. So it was impressive to learn that it wasn't just a quick buck. It was like, Michael Jackson was actually involved in, hopefully, presumably, some quality control of the development of the game and the direction of the game. So
yeah,
that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool to read about that. And it was a really fun arcade game. I also played Tapper, which was cool because it was the real cabinet with the real Budweiser handles on the machine.
I'm not aware of what Tapper is.
Okay, so it was Root Beer Tapper on XBLA because it's the original arcade one was Budweiser. It was like an advert game. So it's you fill up cups of Budweiser and throw them down the thing and collect tips, and it was a Williams game, the same company that did Joust and Robotron.
Oh, okay. I will say that root beer is better than beer. Anyways, and you can fight me.
I'd have to agree. But it was cool because it's all the original. I mean, probably not original, but replica or replacement parts on the cabinet. So assume you don't do this on the XBLA version and never play it. You like pull, it's like a tap, like a beer tap, and you like pull it down, fill up the cup, and then push it up, and then you throw the cup. So it was cool to play it on the actual machine. I've never seen one of those before. I'm also very bad at pinball. I played Metallica pinball. 6 balls in a minute, probably. I lost. That one was expensive. They also had one of the Neo Geo games. Oh, what was it? It wasn't King of Fighters. It was Fatal Fury Special. They had on their I'm gonna call it ACA machine on their Neo Geo machine. I didn't play that one though because.
Was it terribly glitchy and slow?
I didn't play. I should have. I thought about it, but somebody else was playing something else on the Neo Geo machine.
And instead of taking quarters, it only took $7.99.
Yeah, it actually required like 100 tokens per play. You could play it as long as you wanted, but that wasn't actually very long. So I didn't play that one, although it was there. I don't remember what else they had. They had a Tetris machine, which I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Unfortunately, because it's a bar, the joysticks are not great.
Oh, yeah.
They're sticky and they're not well maintained.
Yeah.
So the Tetris machine was like half unplayable. The buttons were okay. It's just the joysticks. A lot of the joysticks really needed to be replaced, or at least have the switches replaced in them.
So could you tell that these original cabinets, or are they?
Yes, that I will give them. There were I don't think there were any multicades.
Okay.
I don't like arcades that have multicades. I don't think they're authentic. I don't like multicades in general because it requires you to gut a regular machine. And there are so few of them around that if you want a multicade, just put a computer in it. Just make a computer, emulate it, make a joystick, like get a fight stick and emulate it.
Yeah.
You don't need to gut an arcade cabinet. Yeah, I think everything, they had a lot of Nintendo cabinets as well. They had Punch Out arcade. I don't really understand how to play Punch Out.
I think the only one I'd be interested in playing would be Donkey Kong.
Yeah, they had Donkey. I had never played a Donkey Kong cabinet, I don't think, or I haven't in a very long time I played that. Man, that game is clunky.
Oh yeah.
But it was, I played it once just to play it. It was cool. They had Mario Bros. They had Punch Out, and then they had one other one. I don't remember what it was. Oh, Dr. Mario.
Ooh, Dr. Mario was I had no idea that there was a cabinet for Dr. Mario.
It didn't have a Dr. Mario, what do they call, marquee? It was like a pick your game or something. So I don't know if maybe Nintendo made a line of cabinets that were kind of like Neo Geo cabinets where you could replace the like a cartridge inside of it. Where it was kind of just a generic cabinet with effectively a console inside.
Right.
Because that was how the Neo Geo cabinets worked. There were 4 slots or 5 slots, depending on the cabinet, I think. And then you would buy the cartridges from whatever, NEC or whatever, whoever does Neo Geo. And you would just change them out in the arcade, and then you would replace the little insert in the top to say what 4 games were in the cabinet.
Huh.
So I don't know if Nintendo did that. I don't really know, but I think it was Dr. Mario that was on it. So it's kind of cool.
No, Dr. Mario would make a
Frogger.
great arcade cabinet. I don't ever remember it being one. That's all.
They also had Smash TV that was unplayable because the sticks didn't work, which I was really disappointed in because they didn't have Robotron. Robotron is usually my go-to, but the one I probably put the most tokens into was Tapper because it was that kind of style of arcade game that I really like. The kind of really hard, but has a high skill cap kind of arcade game like Robotron and Joust. They had Joust, but it was turned off. Joust is one of my favorites as well.
So you had fun at the barcade, it sounds like. I
did, yeah. It was like, I only ended up spending like $10. I was there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours probably.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 hours. I think we left around 2. They had a group also in Philadelphia. If you're ever in Philadelphia, I think it was called Capital Donuts. That is a good place to go.
Oh.
They're chicken and donuts. You buy you buy a box of chicken, you get a donut with it. It's like soaked in honey. Old-fashioned style cake donut soaked in honey. Awesome. And they've got all kinds of fancy donuts too.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you're ever in the area, great place. Also, if you are in the area or if you like pizza, it's called Pizza Brain. They're a pizza museum.
Ooh.
And they serve pizza. And they've got all kinds of great Ninja Turtle stuff from the 90s.
I would definitely be interested in that.
Yeah. They've got some cool stuff there.
Interesting.
I mean, it's little. I mean, it's not like a full-on museum that you're going to go to, but it's a cool place to go get a good pizza and have all this cool pizza stuff. So I really liked it there.
Yeah, I would definitely check that out. For sure. You know, Randy, we've been talking a lot.
Yeah, we were worried about going short. I think we
we definitely found some stuff to talk about, and
I think we're about ready to wrap up here.
I think this may be one of the more varied episodes. So we kind of ran the gamut of all sorts of
not
topics.
So much, we're not too many achievements this week, but
no, we definitely talked mostly gaming, but
it's all different kind of gaming this week.
We definily were all over the spectrum.
All over the place. Yeah.
So hopefully that wasn't too distracting or too off the nose.
Maybe we'll call this show the Super Fun Play for Fun show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not a lot of achieving this week for me.
Yeah, there was some, but you know what? It's okay because sometimes those things happen. But we're not the only ones here to talk about achievements and such. So I'm going to pass this off right on to Freem. And Freem, how are you doing this weekend? Frame file not found.
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Z.
All right, so back for another installment of Review Z. Spazpol here with my co-host, Planting.
What's up?
Yeah. So before we get into the game for the week, do we have any G-Task news? I really want this just to be a G-Task segment, but
Other than a reminder that for the bonus this week, you want to end with a gamer score that is not a normal multiple of 5, and make sure that the number of achievements you've earned is not divisible by 5. Done that, you've earned the bonus.
wait, when's the cutoff?
Wednesday at 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern.
So if you listen to this podcast and fast forward to our section, you might still have an hour left to make sure you get the bonus.
Now, I wonder, they should put little markers in there. So you like, click Review Z. Here you go. Click.
Yeah. So what's the bonus for next week?
We'll have to wait and find out next week. Unfortunately, and my magic time machine is not working. It's in the garage for repairs.
We could be talking like today is Wednesday, just like I guess other people in this podcast do. But then that
would just be so confusing to my head because it's totally Monday.
It is. I had a vacation day today. It was nice. Did you have to work?
Not today.
Oh, that's nice.
Mondays are good days.
How's the mountain right now? We had snow Saturday down here.
The other day it was okay, but unfortunately the warmer temperatures are making skiing rough. And by the time this podcast comes out, it's supposed to be 70.
Oh yeah, you guys are getting 72. I just think that's absolutely hysterical.
So come ski in the slush. If you're interested, you can stay in my apartment. I can be the apartment manager. Ha ha.
And with that segue, we are reviewing Beholder Complete Edition. This is published by Curve Digital. It was developed by Alawar. That's how I'm going to guess it's pronounced. Alawar Games. This was released on January 19th of 2018. And Xbox Live store price $14.99. Oh, Complete Edition because it does include the DLC. Was that like launch DLC? It must have been a Steam game.
And it must have been, yeah, because it's a full 1000G. Nothing broken up here.
Yeah, 1,000 with the DLC. But it was, I disagree with this genre management. Yeah, we'll get into it. So, I mean, I guess from a plot perspective, but plot should never dictate genre. You work in a, would you say it is a socialist? It really feels very militaristic socialist. Just you are an apartment manager and they expect you to spy on your tenants.
Yes.
I guess they're your tenants. Though it really feels like it's not your tenants because it's not like you really own this place. This is your job.
Basically, the way it was explained was that you're responsible for their actions, which means spy on them, make sure that you see everything that they're doing, and tattle on every little juicy niblet of their life.
Yes, just be Big Brother. 1984 in playable form. So, yeah, so I guess you are the manager of the complex, but it didn't really feel like a management game because you do have to walk around, interact with things. I don't really know what genre I'd peg it as, but I don't think management fits.
They probably put it there because of just a lack of a better genre, because it's something basically unique. You are technically managing this place, yes, but it's almost more of like an RPG element to it because you have many different ways of approaching the puzzles, like of managing this place. Even just between the couple hours that Spaz and I have played, we've taken completely different paths. So it's interesting what they've done. Yeah.
So, you know what I would, and because of that, what I really felt this is more of is a visual novel. quite frankly, because you go through the way you play through, and I figured this out later. So you go through as the apartment manager, and you are part of secret police, I guess, because they have the manager. What is it when you call in the reports? It's the ministry. You report to the ministry. Yeah. And so you report into the ministry if you're going to tattle on people, if you're going to write a report, or you can blackmail them. And the achievements are all related to doing certain things. For example, without trying to spoil anything, there's going to be one of the tenants, and at some point in the game, they are no longer going to be your tenants. How you get rid of them, however, leads to different achievement types. You obviously can't get all 3 achievements for the 3 variant ways of doing it on the same playthrough. You would actually, and it's not even like it's a one choice, like, oh, here, make a quick save. But I mean, that's really where it felt arcish, though.
Well, I didn't even see a way to make a save. You can load, but you have one save.
Well, and that's what's happened. So you really have one linear playthrough. So you almost have to kind of make mental notes where the breaks are in the story, and then go back to that first, not the first save, because every save after the save you load is potentially going to be rewiped. Right? So you'd almost have to go through your one playthrough and then back up to the last choice that would have made a difference, do the other arc, then, back up to, which means depending on how far you're playing through this game, you're either going to be doing the same situation a bunch of times early on, going, okay, I know if I go this route, I'll get rid of them this way, and then I'll rewind and go the next way, and then rewind and go again. Okay, on to the next.
You thought those telltale rewinds were annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So for those with how's the achievements? So it's got a TA ratio of 4.1. So it is completable. And with how many hours I've put in, I'm at 10%. So get ready for a long, because it moves semi-fast. It feels like you can do the Y to do the fast forward, but I feel like I'm just going to miss stuff if it's running around too fast, because you are just running back and forth and, I got to make sure to talk to this person. I have to break into their apartment and look at this. So you don't want things going too fast, but at the same time, it's very long, kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of slow-paced. That's just mine here. Why don't you?
It depends on what you put yourself up for, I suppose. If you just go slowly, the way the game kind of walks you through and suggests you just start with one apartment and build your way slowly, I should say, then it's not that bad. However, if you're crazy like I was and just immediately go, oh, wow, look at all these apartments I can have people in, and just willy-nilly throw people in them and start talking to them and go, oh, there's quests, and try to juggle 5 or 6 quests at the same time. No, you don't want to fast forward at all, because there's just too much you're trying to get done in one day. I got to talk to the dude who sells stuff. I got to make sure I make a report on all these people I just talked to and I saw, and you got to spy on people. I think that was my favorite aspect, actually, was like waiting to catch them in the act of doing things, peeking through their doors, spying on them with those little cameras. I don't know. I liked it. It was a great game.
Yeah, I think the one thing, though, that was a little weird for me, as you said, is some of the controls I would keep getting mixed. The controls weren't overly difficult, but trying to get it to where you would have to thumbstick in the middle and then press A, because you'd have to press the A button and it takes a little bit to load what you were doing, right? Like if you're going to look through the keyhole or if you're going to open the key, it's not like you just press A and it opens. It's like
you got to wait for it to action. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good, because it could interrupt, like if the person's coming, you're like, oh, I could stop. But I found myself very much getting impatient, and then I would just like bump the thumbstick, and then you're going, why isn't the door? Oh, I guess I stopped open. Man, and you do
one of the biggest tips I could say I learned a little later on is that sometimes there's so many objects you can interact with in a room. It's hard to interact with the camera spots on the ceiling. If you use the D-pad, you can maneuver to all the different parts of the room a lot quicker.
Oh, that did work. I kept trying to do that because I would have times like on some of those people's rooms and you couldn't go to install a camera and you're going, this kind of is wonky.
Yeah, I was really upset with that until I'm like, let me try the D-pad. It worked. Awesome. And then it's a lot simpler. You start the action and you can like look down into your kitchen to see if they're still eating or pay attention to the activity of the tenants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So, I mean, overall, so it is a very black and white game. It's not a lot of color to it. I mean, the controls are not horrible. They're not the great. I mean, it's not a very complex game in terms of control and movement, like looking for precision. I would say it's hand done.
Yeah.
The animations, everything looks hand. Not again. It's nothing that I'm gonna lose sleep over and just like, oh my god, so profound.
Considering what they were focusing the game on, the gameplay around, it wasn't important that like that they had a kind of a bland color palette or that the people didn't actually have faces. It was more the decision making process and whether you decided to be an upholding citizen of the state or whether you wanted to kind of go a different direction. That was more of the storyline. It felt like to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to get a lot of gameplay out of it if you buy it, but for 15, I didn't feel very, very intrigued by it. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't earth-shattering. I'm not rushing to want to go back, and honestly, I'm going back and enjoying playing more Mercenary Kings. I've put a ton more time into that.
That definitely did seem like it was up your alley. I don't know. This has piqued my interest. I'm probably playing more of this. Something about being evil and being able to spy on your tenants is just kind of cool. I don't know.
Cool. Well, I guess with that's the end of the podcast, everybody. Till next week. This is Spaz.
Planting.
Have a good one.
Spy on your neighbors.
What the L with the RTDL?
Hi, everybody, and welcome to What the L with the RTDL. I am Big L.
And I am Elroy. So, L, how was your Valentine's Day?
Oh, it was very nice. Thank you for asking. Valentine's Day is also my wife and my anniversary, so I splurged and took her to a nice steakhouse. It was, we ate meat. It was good, delicious.
How about that final bill?
I guess that was a mistake, right?
It sure was.
And then, to add insult to injury, I had to pay some guy a couple $bucks to park my car, too. It's ridiculous. Oh, my God.
Wow, that sounds like some big city living there.
Yeah, so what did you and your lovely wife do for Valentine's Day?
Well, we were kind of in a scramble because this year was the first year in about 4 to 5 years that they did not have this tradition that we do, which is that we go to the International Cat Video Contest or video, I don't know, show of some sort. But anyway, it shows a bunch of internet videos of cats. You go and it's on a theater at the museum. Mm-hmm. They have performances. You have a theater troupe that performs in cat language. You have just all kinds of cat stuff going on, little activities, and it's just a very great time. Everyone's feline good and
feline good, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we had to make the best of not having that option to us. We missed the International Cat Video Festival, and so I ended up making lasagna. And
I think there's a famous cat that likes to eat lasagna. I'm not sure about that.
Ooh, that's well played, yeah. So, but anyway, that was my Valentine's Day.
Was anyone going to ask me?
Oh, hey, RTDL Bot, you kind of ran off in a hurry last week, didn't you? Did you? I think you said something about you had a date.
Hello, Big L. Hello, Elroy. My name is Gretchen. Nice to meet you.
Wow. That's a girl? Way to go, RTDL Bot. Nice to meet you, Gretchen. So, how did you guys meet?
Well, I am glad you asked. We met using Tinder, of course. That is what the cool bots use these days.
Tinder, eh? So I guess RTDL can also stand for, I don't know, randomly Tinder decides love? That was good, right? Oh my god.
Whoa, these guys are like two peas in a pod. So, Gretchen, is it? It's nice to meet you. So tell us, how did the date go?
It was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success.
It is hard to overstate my satisfaction. She has 23 of 25 traits I am looking for and is working toward a full combo.
RTDL Bot, you complete me.
Oh,
This is really getting emotional.
oh, sweet. All right, let's let these love bots be for now. Is it time for the update yet, Elroy?
Oh, not quite. So, a little bit of business first. On Friday, Proulx asked in the Discord if there was any questions that they wanted discussed on the podcast. And Fufu, he limped in with a question about what their favorite fruit was, but I decided, with it being a podcast about achievement hunting, that they should discuss the lady in Asia that died by go-kart when her hair got stuck in the wheel and ripped it off, ripped her scalp off, and whether this would affect Mario Kart sales and thus cause Xbox to establish a bigger footprint in the region where Nintendo dominates and ultimately lead to more Chivo hunters. Now, let me just say, Big L and I have a bet on this. I bet the dollar I won from the fact that I was correct that we would be included in the show notes finally a few weeks back. And I bet that dollar that Proulx would include this juicy story in the podcast. I am going on record in saying that Proulx is one of the good guys. He wouldn't elicit questions from his audience only to ignore them and basically spit in their face by not using their question. Especially when the runner-up is just a question about a vegetable. He definitely included it. And so confident am I that if it's not too late, I'd like to raise the wager to $2.
It is not too late, and I will happily take my money back and some of yours to go with it. Proulx is a wild and free spirit and doesn't do things by the book.
Hey, some birds are just not meant to be caged.
It is exactly for those reasons that I know that your question was not included, Elroy. It is too narrowly focused on achievement hunting, and the Z2Z program does talk about a wide range of issues, such as, microwaves, Disney Channel, Google, McDonald's, food. And I think your question was just too specific to achievement hunting to be included on an achievement hunting podcast. Fortunately, however, there is a segment on the podcast for actual achievement hunting talk, and you're listening to it.
So about this story. It sounds like it was a bad accident.
I don't know the place will stay in business after that went down there. I guess where there's a wheel, there's a way.
I am sure that they are making enough overhead on their tickets to stay open.
As long as those tickets are not scalped.
I hear you. Regardless, I don't know that people will be dying to get back in their go-karts anytime soon. But why should we discuss it any further, given that Proulx has me covered? Easiest $2 ever.
As long as we know now that What the L is a segment. Is it time for the update now, Elroy?
Yes. I've waited long to hear that. Yes, let's get into it. RTDL update. The Kingdom of Kahuna has toppled, and all the Kahunaville villagers are scurrying about as the Kingsmen move in and take the top spot away. Kingsman 2625 now sits on the RTDL throne for February with our first combo for the month. Congrats to the Kings, man.
Yay! Woo! Kingsman, yes! Awesome! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Awesome! Way to go, Kingsman. That was so great, man. Thanks, man.
Adding insult to injury, Elroy, love that guy, was busy with his list and bumped the Kahuna Burger all the way down to third. The fourth and fifth spot remained unchanged with the Smitty and Big L. Although B. Smitty is now within 100 points of the stalled Kahuna dynasty and could shove him down another spot.
Another spot down under, where women glow and men plunder.
Your Ultra combo update is as follows. Kingsman got his and now is halfway there. Elroy now sits on the precipice with 49 of 50. Chivos and is busy grinding out his McGrindy Grindface achievement. I'm not sure that's the technical name. I think it's called Settle the Score in Rock Band 4. A special note. Elroy wanted me to say a special thank you to the wife of Elroy for her contributions in this matter, for actually having rhythm and being able to play the drums for much higher scores than Elroy could ever make on the bass, the only instrument that isn't too difficult for Elroy to play. Kahuna is stuck on 22, also known as the same amount he had last week. The thought of playing more Borderlands, the prequel, sequel, requel, apparently is the sticking point, given that he still has 2 more achievements left there, as in getting 1,625 Chaos in the downtown district of Sunset Overdrive, his other missing achievement for the month. When asked about the prospect of missing his perfect 25 of 25 this month and jeopardizing his chance of getting an Ultra combo, Kahuna said, well, crap. Well said, Kahuna. Well said. Smitty has a couple left, including showing off some mad skills by finishing all of the scenarios in Zoo Tycoon. But got his big money maker 900 plus points from Lumo out of the way, so he should be good to go. Rocker Dude, rest in peace. And NBA Kirkland has had a busy month with the NBA All-Star game and whatnot, and he hadn't got around to RTDLing for the most part. You got to hear that awesome anthem last night. I would say that at least 3 will find their way in the third month and continue the hunt of the Ultra.
The hunt for Micah?
So with the top 5 covered and unchanged, let's get to some new faces.
Wait. You forgot the honorable mention for the week. Who is it? Is it Proulx?
Well, actually, run a little numbers here. Oh, yeah, it is Proulx.
It is?
Yeah.
Yes, Proulx! Woo! You did it, Proulx! Proulx, it's your birthday. Oh, it actually is your birthday. It's your birthday, Proulx! Good job, Proulx. Yes! Did it. Way to go! Oh, well. Pardon me. Why did you try to move on without mentioning the honorable mention? Why would you try to trample Proulx like his improvement joke got trampled out on the Z to Z podcast 8 weeks ago?
Well, Bruce Lee once told us to be like water. And thus, the RTDL has entered an ebb and flow pattern to which many RTDLers have gotten off to a hell of a good start in January, but now have since gotten a life and disappeared. They have ebbed on the RTDL. Other individuals, however, have flowed and have discovered their list for the first time this year. It's time for RTDL Update, Ebb and Flow Edition.
Oh, yeah, Hustle and Flow edition? I think I saw that. That was, wasn't that about that Memphis hustler and pimp who aspires to become a rapper?
Well, it's about a Memphis hustler pimp who aspires to become a rapper. There were many more who didn't get a movie about them. True story. The flowers this week are the individuals who have increased the number of points and achievements they have popped from January to February thus far. Honorable mention does not go to Proulx this week, but it does go to Toadstyle Venom, who has increased his number of achievements by 6 for a point total of 1,338. I wouldn't say it's his best work, but it's still riveting. In 5th place is Ninja Star with an increase of 1,442 points from 6 extra achievements as well. His top point getting achievement came from Rare Replay for Child of the 90s that landed him on the flow list and made him too legit to quit. Too legit to quit.
Hey.
This achievement required him to finish all the Battletoads snapshots. This one is fresh in my mind given what I went through earlier this month, but I digress. Regardless, Ninja Star, appropriate enough, finishes ahead of Toadstyle Venom with his Battletoads achievement, but this should come to no surprise to Toadstyle Venom, for Ninja Star told him he would do it. In 4th place is Cowboy Killer 360.
Who?
With an increase of 1,674 points, also from 6 extra achievements. Not sure why the increase isn't greater, honestly, given that 1/5 of his achievements are from BioShock, and the rest is a who's who of same game duplicates given his pool size was just north of 1,000 at the time of the draw.
Oh, I hate when people do that. Just curate and get right next to 1,000 when the draw's coming. Disgusting. People still do that? Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Bunch of losers. Ugh. Makes me sick. All right, go on, Ella.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, my God. These curators. Jesus. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In 3rd place is no other than the Tominator, Tommy, with an increase of 8 achievements. Although I just saw he got a few more, so it's probably more than that by now. He can thank his plethora of Transformers, the fall of Cybertron,
Robots in disguise,
for his increased output. That and Tommy is just freaking awesome. Let the record show.
That Tommy is awesome?
That Tommy is freaking awesome.
Noted.
Okay. Where was I?
You were talking about robots.
Oh, yes. So even though he already won the Door Prize achievement for that terrible Back to the Future game, that was all over Kingsman's list, hopefully this 3rd place prize will bring you as much joy as the prize Freem sent me for finishing 3rd overall last trimester in the RTDL Global Standings.
Oh, yes. I, too, was very touched by the prize I got for finishing in 1st place. Thank you, Freem.
In 2nd place of the Flowers is a fresh RTDLers who has a fresh face.
But no fresh wound.
It's fresh 336,669, who has an increase of +9 achievements, but hasn't gained much since popping his achievement on Goat Stimulator of Around the World in 5 trampolines. Many fear that he got hurt in achieving that one. But don't worry, I know he will bounce back. In 1st place, by a country mile, is the few, the proud, the Fug. What the Fug easily claims the top spot with an increase in his RTDL by 13 achievements. Even though he has not yet toppled his Rare Replay behemoth of Jet Force Gemini, he has put together a nice little list, including a too late for last week's Valentine's special achievement of sticking them with the pointed end from Lara Croft in the Temple of Something. The senior member of the Z to Z community. The senior member of the Z to Z community also had no problem getting the Coughs and Sneezes assembly achievement, and the black, white, and red all over bully achievement that took him back to his day of putting on his slippers and fetching yesterday's news that had been thrown in his yard. Here's to you, what the fug, and congrats on topping the chart this week, getting your flow on this month, and showing these young whippersnappers how to Chivo hunt like you did in the old days.
Elroy, isn't he like only 3 years older than you are?
Possibly. Anyway, so with the flow, there must be an ebb, and these 5 individuals have ebbed like no other. They have been missing in action and have only a week to turn it around. Our 5th place ever is no other than Urban Spaceman.
Sup with you, man?
Who has decreased his output by 12 whole Chivos. With such decreased performance, it is clear what needs to happen. Spaceman,
Sup with you, man?
Needs to tell the RTDL community he is sorry. He needs to apologize. In 4th place, Buffalo of Lies is off pace and ebbing by 14 achievements. He hasn't had much time for gaming lately, given that he has been spending a lot of time with his Buffalo of Lies Jr. before he leaves for college. Buffalo already knows what he will say when he leaves. Bye, son. In 3rd place is Rocker Dead, who is 15 achievements off his last month's pace.
Oh, do you miss him?
Of course. It was close, but 2nd place goes to Tropan, who is 16 achievements less this month. Little did we know, but Tropan used us up like yesterday's news that What the Fug reads and threw us out. He put together a solid performance last month, and he won a prize for it.
Speaking of which, if he thinks that was a great prize, it is nothing, and I mean nothing compared to that prize that I got for winning the entire trimester of the RTDL last quarter.
Wow.
It's good.
Fast forward to current, and his list is this barren wasteland of meh games with meh achievements and nothing. Tropan, make like the nitrogenous bicyclic organic compound you are and get excited.
Get stimulated.
Speaking of which, our 1st place ever is no other than Wildwood Mike. With all the winter storms and unseasonably cold temperatures everywhere, it would seem the Mike with some wild wood has experienced some serious shrinkage, given his achievement count also has shrunk by 16 pops worth almost 4,000 points. There is good news, however, Shrunkwood Mike, is that RTDL will cure you and make everything better. Ask your doctor today if RTDL is right for you.
Side effects of RTDL include stomach pain, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, blurred vision, constipation, dizziness, mild headache, sweating, mild skin rash, oily discharge, numbness, tingling, or cold feeling in your hands or feet, dark urine, nervous feeling, sleep problems, weight loss, frequent bowel movements, nasal sores, and hallucinations may occur.
Make the switch to RTDL today. And that is your RTDL update, Ebb and Flow edition.